Welcome to Orientation Week at Charleston Southern. My name is David Britt, and chances are I'm going to be the professor in your very first class, which will be MSOM 600. So welcome to Orientation Week. We define that as the week before class starts. And what I like to do is I like to treat the week before class starts for brand new students as a time of discovery. It'll be a chance for you to check out the online learning system called Blackboard. It'll be a chance for you to hear from me and to receive contact information. It'll be a chance for you to read the syllabus, for you to complete a tutorial on how to navigate the online system. All in all, it'll give you a chance to prepare for class before the official first day of class begins. So this is a very valuable week because my hope is the first day of class will be spent on the first week's material, not trying to catch up and figure out how to navigate the online system. So I'd like to get started here and give you some tips and give you a first look, if you will, at Blackboard and what you'll be doing, not only in this class, but over the next several classes as you pursue your degree going forward. So, chances are you're going to start here at the Charleston Southern website, and I would encourage you to scroll down and click on My CSU. Now, when you click on My CSU, what you're going to find is the My CSU homepage. You should have heard from me in another video that says it should be the center of the universe for you, and that is the case. So whenever you come here, you can click on Blackboard, and that will take you to the online learning system called Blackboard. And so what you're going to see when you click on that, you'll be taken right to the home page of the course. Now, I'm toggling back and forth between two courses. This will be the course that you'll be entered in, which will be Graduate Writing and Research. But this course is not currently live, and so I'm missing one tab up here that you will see whenever you log into the course for the first time. So I have to go to a course that's currently live to show you that particular piece. And I'll show you that in just a second. But the first thing you will notice whenever you log into Blackboard and you click on your course, you'll be landed here right at the announcement page for Graduate Writing and Research. And so I would encourage you to begin to look at and watch the announcements. So the first announcement that you're going to see will be the professor introduction, and yep, that's me. So you'll see again my name, you'll see my email address and telephone number. I would encourage you to write those down because anytime you have a question, I want you to either email me or call me, and I will get back to you as quickly as I possibly can. But in the meantime, you need to find out a little bit about me and my background, and that'll give you an indication of why I do the things I do and in the ways that I do them. So I always like to do that. So make sure that you watch that video and make sure that you write down my email address and my telephone number. And then there's also an announcement in here on 5 key steps to get started, so I'd encourage you to read that. And then there's another announcement here that talks about the difference between master's and bachelor's degree programs. This is really important because you're going to find that master's degree work is much different than bachelor's degree work. So I try and break that down very simply for you as you take a look at that, okay? So that would be the announcements, and then you'll see course information. So if I click on course information, what you're going to see will be the course description and the objectives for this course. And then you will see the syllabus here. So I would encourage you to click on the syllabus and to review the information here. You'll have, again, the course objectives and description. You have the textbook information. And then you'll have a recap of each of the 7 weeks in this course. Now, when you get to the end of the 7 weeks, you're going to see something called grading or course grading. This is important because graduate level studies, and this just isn't Charleston Southern, it is most graduate programs that I've ever been affiliated with, have a much more aggressive grading scale. And so typically in undergraduate studies, you may have 90 to 100 as an A. Well, in graduate studies, it's 93 to 100. So make sure that you pay attention to these, because I want to make sure you're not surprised at the end of the term. And then underneath that, you'll see grading rubrics. Now, rubrics are designed specifically for the student, and this tells you how the professor will be grading and the specific things that he or she will be looking for over the period of time. So there are 4 or 5 rubrics in there, excuse me, as well. So make sure that you have a chance to read the syllabus. And then you'll also see here under course information, the textbook information, okay? Now, the reason that I spoke earlier about this line up here that will be available in your first course that says start here is you have to complete start here, and you will take a test at the end of it and must score at least 80% to be able to view the 7 weeks of content in the course. We want to make sure that you fully understand the navigation, you fully understand how to find things inside of the Blackboard system. This is why Orientation Week is so important, because we want to make sure that all this foundational work that you're doing does not detract from your learning outcomes starting in week 1. So let's take a look at what this start here will include. All right, so I clicked on start here. The first step, there are 9 steps here. The first step is to check your browser. Now, I happen to be a Mac person, and I typically use Safari. You'll see I'm using it here, but the reason I'm using it here is I'm going back and forth between Safari and Chrome. But it's recommended that you use either Chrome or Firefox as your browser whenever you're in Blackboard. I can attest to that, because Chrome just seems to perform better with Blackboard. So make sure that you, if you haven't downloaded Chrome, make sure you use that, or Firefox when you're navigating Blackboard. Step 2, you're going to go through a series of very quick videos so that you'll be able to see how to navigate the Blackboard system. The first thing will be announcements. We've talked briefly about that already, so make sure every single time you log into the course you look at announcements, because I will add several over the life of the course. And then we've already gone through course information, so you can watch this video again, or you can just remember what I said a couple of minutes ago as it relates to course information. And then weekly lessons. This will tell you what you have to do that particular week. And so I'm going to highlight some of those again in just a minute. And then discussion boards. Discussion boards are important in online learning. Remember, perhaps in your undergraduate studies when your professor said, what I want you to do is I want you to put your desks in a circle and talk about this topic. Well, online discussion boards are the equivalent of put your desks in a circle and talk about this topic. All right? And then step 3 shows you how to submit your assignments, how to check your grades in the grade book in Blackboard. And then step 4 talks about Buckmail, or the CSU email system. This is really, really important because once the class starts, you will not receive anything at your personal email address. We're not allowed to. The federal government does not allow us to send information to a student's personal email account. You have to send them to their CSU email account. So make sure that this is set up. Not only make sure that it's set up, but make sure that you check your emails every day. So again, I would encourage you to put this on your smartphone phone as well, so you'll understand when you have an email. Step 5 is about using the CSU online library. One of the key things in graduate level work is that you will become a researcher. And in order to research effectively, you have to have good fact-based information. And you will find that using the CSU online library. And then step 6 talks about APA formatting. This degree program, every single class will be APA. You will not have a single class that uses another formatting technique. So here are some places that you can go, some links you can go, some PDFs you can pull down that will talk to you about APA formatting. Step 7 talks about tech support. So if you have any questions about emails or Blackboard issues or any of those things, you can send a request to tech support. And then here is the Start Here test that I mentioned earlier. So after you go through all of this, we're going to ask you to take a test. Now, this test is graded, but it doesn't count towards your final score. So it's only graded so that you will know when to release this information over here. So you must score at least 80%. There are 10 questions. It comes from a pool of about 40 or 50 questions. And you must get at least 8 of them correct. And so you will click on continue. You'll answer the questions. You can take this test as many times as you want to. You just have to score at least 80 to be able to open up the information included under the weeks that are there. So make sure, again, I go back and say, make sure that you do this early enough in this orientation week so that you're not having to do this the week that class starts. Okay? So let's assume for a couple of seconds that you've gone through the Start Here. You've taken the test. You've scored at least an 80%. Now you're ready to look and see what you have to do in week 1. So I clicked on week 1. You see the week 1 description. This provides an overview of the things that you'll be doing in week 1. It provides objectives for week 1. And then I've created a week 1 overview video. So what you will do is you'll hear from me on the things that you have to do this week. And so I would encourage you to read this and then to watch that video. Now there are 2 other sections that you're going to see in every single CSU class here. You'll see read and study and do this week. Now obviously the content will be different for your different classes, but the format will be the same because we want to make sure that every time you log into a new class that you're not having to relearn or learn a new system. And so regardless of whether you have a supply chain course or you have a project management course or you have a general management course, you're going to see the same setup. You'll see week description, you'll see read and study, and you'll see do this week. So what do I have to read and study this week? Well, thanks for asking, right? And so you get under read and study, and what you'll see will be the textbook readings that you'll have for the first week. Now, we're in the process of moving from the 11th edition of that textbook to the 12th edition, and so some of you may have the 11th edition, some of you may have the 12th. But don't worry, both information will be included where there are differences. And so you have to read chapters 1 and chapter 2. In your APA manual the first week, you have to read chapter 1. Now, for this, in chapter 1 and chapter 2 of the textbook, you are provided lectures from the textbook publisher. And so when you click that, what you'll see will be the main points summarized for all of the key readings. Now, don't think that you can not read the textbook and just read the lecture. You'll miss things if you do it that way. But this can help emphasize the big points that you're going to be reading. So each individual week will have chapter lectures for the appropriate readings for that week. And then in the first week you have a link. You have a link to the CSU online library for an article on plagiarism. And so it's important that you follow those links and that you read that. Now some weeks you may or may not have a link. Some weeks you may have a video here that you need to watch. And so those are all things that are included under read and study. So what do you have to read? What do you have to study? The information is included right here. Okay? So you've gone over the overview for the week. You understand and you've gone through and read and watched videos and followed links and read those. So what do you have to do this week? Well, that's included under do this week. And so this very first week, you have 2 discussion forums. Now, you only have 2 in the first week, and the reason you do is because we ask you to provide an introduction. Now, discussion forums, a question is posed, And then what you have to do is you have to provide a response for that. And then you must provide that initial post before you're able to view the post of fellow students. And so the initial post has to be in by Thursday each week. And so in this one, we're asking you to introduce yourself. So you need to provide your introduction by clicking on this discussion piece, and you'll see how to do that in the Start Here section. You will post your introduction, and then you are required to provide a minimum of 2 response posts by Sunday night, 11:59 each week. So every discussion board, you have to do 3 things. You have to provide 1 initial post with your thoughts, and then you have to provide a minimum of 2 response posts for every discussion board. So that's an introduction. There's a discussion the first week on the importance of writing, so an initial post by Thursday, a minimum of 2 response posts by Sunday, and you have a short answer exercise that you have to upload. And so the short answers each week will ask you a series of questions, and then what you have to do, follow the short answer requirements here. You have to use Microsoft Word, and I've provided a template that I want you to use for every short answer exercise. And so name of student, you'll put your name in there, you'll have short answer, and then week, you replace the X with the week that you're in. So the very first week will be week 1. And then what I want you to do is to number each one of the questions. So if there are 5 questions, you'll have 5 of these. And put a bold statement there that repeats the first question. And then you'll provide a detailed answer for each question underneath it. Now, if you happen to use references in any of your short answers, I would encourage you to put a references heading, and then you can use your references and place them underneath that heading. So every single short answer exercise needs to use that template. Now, I want you to save each one of these files before you upload them using this convention. You'll have your last name, SA, which stands for short answer, and then the week number. So let's pretend your last name is Jones, short answer, and let's pretend it's week 6. So the file should be named Jones SA 6. And then you have a weekly writing assignment, and you'll learn more about this later in a subsequent video, but you're going to have a writing assignment that you're going to be adapting each particular week. And so you'll submit something the first week, and you'll adapt it and adjust it each of the next weeks until you get to week 7, and then you'll submit it. And so you'll see the instructions here, you'll see the written requirements, and so the way that you name this file is similar to the way you do short answer, except you will use A for assignment and not SA as you did for short answer. And then finally, each week you will have a test over information contained that week. And so these will typically be 5 questions. You have an hour to answer them, which is more than enough time. So the first week is a test on plagiarism. All right? So each of the next few weeks, regardless of whether it's week 1, week 2, will follow the same format. And so I encourage you to make sure that you get in, you look around, and see how those are set up. Again, the key thing that's going to help you get started with this is to make sure that you do the start here during the orientation week, so that when you get to week 1, you're not having to go back and do the start here. You can start immediately into the descriptions, into the reading and studying, and then into the delivery of the assignments that are due that week. All right, I hope this helped, and if you have any questions, you have access now to my telephone number, you have access to my email address, so make sure you reach out and contact me. I am thrilled that you're in the program, and I look forward to our next 7 weeks together. Take care.